Tonight on Countdown to Green, we talk with Graham Bowlin, Colin Keister, and the folks over at Charlotte Phoenix. We take a look back at some of the most controversial moments from this season, and really, dude, we take a look at how you're driving at home in the Logitech G Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is Watkins Glen. I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and I'm joined with our analysts. We have Alex Cadena and Blake McCandless. How are you two doing?
Oh, it's great to be here. I love Watkins Glen, New York, such a storied history at this track, and we are right on the playoff bubble for some of these drivers. This is a fun track.
It really is. There's such a great atmosphere. I know I haven't been able to attend a race in person, but I've heard so many stories how fun it is to be in this area. It's beautiful up there. The camping is great, and the racing's pretty good too, Camille. So,
I mean, the racing's pretty good. I feel like we are just making stops in cities recently. We're here, New York, but we were in Chicago not so long ago for the All-Star race. Let's take a look at this recap.
Busa in control as we say, let's go street racing in Chicago. Oh, and Conti completely misses turn 4, and he will take Mitchell DeJong with him. So two of the fastest cars gone in the blink of an eye. For the race lead came just in the nick of time, coming to the end of lap number 11, and Steven Wilson indeed able to go to the lead. Blake, he made that move from 2 car lengths back. This one's going to come down to the final 2.14 miles. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. It's going to be a wide entry coming to turn 12. There's the bobble. Zelensky looks low. Wilson throws the block. 1 corner. 1 more bump and run. But Steven Wilson will hold off one of the very best. And Wilson wins the eNASCAR Chicago All-Star Street Race.
And that finish made me happy. It's just a little bit sad that points didn't matter.
Good pick, Camille.
I saw you, Alan. You were saying it was rigged. It is not rigged. I just choose really well.
You're really good at this. I'll give you that.
All right. Well, we got to talk about that All-Star race. Blake, take us through your thoughts of what went down.
Certainly so, Camille. Looking at that race and just looking at everything that happened from the Open to the main event, I think the one thing that's become clear through this race and throughout the season is that this new wave of talent that has made their way into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, they're here to stay. Steven Wilson was a rookie last year, has been proving himself all year long. You think about this new crop of drivers. We thought going into the year that this next-gen car would provide something for the veterans of this series that have been running for 7, 8, 9 years, but when you look at who's at the front in the standings and who's been performing well, Steven Wilson, Graham Bowlin, Casey Kerwin, a lot of drivers who are up and coming in this series or have been established for a little bit like Kerwin has, they are the drivers that are proving themselves week after week, and I think this next-gen car, much like you've seen in real life, has had new talent that is up front and going to be a factor for many years to come.
The next-gen cars, the new talent just knows what to do with them, it looks like. Well, Alan, let's talk about your thoughts with what went down, because there were a lot of close calls.
There was, and Blake, I love that you brought up this new crop of talent because it's an ultra-aggressive crop of talent. We saw that during the All-Star race, some of the bump and runs and the moves made just during an All-Star race. Again, this was supposed to be for fun, and we have drivers ticked off at each other after the All-Star race, and I think these disagreements, they're only going to get worse, especially as we move into races like tonight and moving on to Darlington, because again, the All-Star race was for fun, and drivers are angry at each other. Imagine what they're going to be like when you see moves like we saw in the All-Star race, but when it's for the points, when it's for a win, when it's for a playoff spot on the line, it's only going to get higher and higher in terms of the temperatures of these drivers driving and what they want to do and what they're trying to go for in a playoff spot. It's only going to get worse.
Yes, the temperatures were rising amongst drivers, but also teams, and it seems like they haven't cooled down quite yet because Stewart House actually tweeted this. Remember, Dylan Duvall never forgets.
I love it. Trash talk before tonight. Again, this was an all-star race. This was an exhibition event, and now we have trash talk going into a very important race tonight.
Well, let's talk about the importance of this race. Alan, you mentioned off the top, there's a lot riding on this for these players. So, Blake, maybe you could take us through the standings.
Certainly so. We'll take a look at the point standings coming here tonight. Again, in the nick of time, just 2 races left in the regular season. Now, you can look, this is the playoff grid as it would stand right now, but look at Ray Alfalla and just how close he is to being out. You can see right there, 9th on the grid, but he's 20th right now in the point standings. He's in by 4 points. That means if he falls to 21st or behind, his win does not make him eligible for the playoffs. So you could see the fact that there's only one driver in Zach Novak who's in on points right now, how much Alfalla's performance tonight. That's something we're going to be watching for very closely. And then look at the right-hand side of your screen. Bobby Zielinski, Mitchell DeJong, Jimmy Mullis, some names that really pop out that are strong road course ringers, how much it would mean for them, Camille, to go in the win column and add that 10th win.
Yes, and it means a lot for these teams as well. Alan, take us through the team standings.
Yeah, remember the team standings go through the end of the year. So Jim Beaver Esports back on top after the race that we had 2 weeks ago in Pocono, and just resetting everything. Remember, Stewart House Racing right there, Rise Esports in 3rd, but go down to 7th, 23-11. They're still trying to get a playoff. They are the defending champions. Their drivers trying to get in the playoff, but they have moved up to the 7th position. Meanwhile, Team Dillon Esports moved down 4 positions. So again, it's so close. You look at the top 4, they're only separated by 14 points. This could swing at any moment, any race, including tonight at Watkins Glen.
These drivers are going through a lot. We mentioned that temperature rising time and time again. The emotions are just being unraveled, it seems like. But there are people on the team that kind of keep all these drivers together, the team managers, right, Alan?
Yeah, and we have one of those team managers fortunate to join us tonight. The team manager for Charlotte Phoenix Racing, James Bickford, joins us now. Let's talk about Charlotte Phoenix as a whole, James. I mean, you are from Napa, California. What made you get into motorsports and esports at all?
Yeah, I grew up not too far from Sonoma Raceway. From that, I wanted to chase a NASCAR career, so started racing quarter midgets at the age of 4 and full-bodied stock cars and NASCAR sanctioned division at 13. From that, raced in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series for 2 full seasons, and that's what moved me to Charlotte, North Carolina, being a part of the NASCAR Next group of 2015 and 2016.
That's really cool. I'm a quarter midget veteran as well. So what brought you over to the iRacing sphere, though?
When I was getting into legend cars, racing in legends, I was part of the Haas development program and flew out for a summer, stayed with Keister, and just before I came out, they said, hey, you should download iRacing. It's a great sim racing program. It has the Charlotte Legends Oval, has the legend cars, and it would be perfect for you before you came out. That was about in 2009. So ever since I've been sim racing, it's been on the same equipment until recently when Next Level Racing has fortunately upgraded my equipment. But that's what got me into sim racing originally.
It's one thing to race, it's another thing to start your own team. What brought Charlotte Phoenix into iRacing?
So during the Coke 600 in 2021, Charlotte Phoenix was doing a Rocket League program at the Speedway, and they were played on the big projector. And I already was interested in Charlotte Phoenix because I love Rocket League. It's one of my favorite esports with iRacing. From that, I had a meeting with them, went up, saw what they were doing, met a few of the members here at Charlotte Phoenix, like CJ Collins, and I was like, hey, we're in Charlotte. Why haven't you started an iRacing team? And then from there, I ended up helping them out. They got involved with me in the Monday Night Racing stuff, and our goal and our pursuit was to start a Coke Series team. And we got the call last minute that we were in the series. I brought David Schildhouse on board. We've been an awesome team together, and we're just trying to do our best to do something different in the space.
Your situation's so unique because you've raced in real life and you've raced in iRacing. Where do you see a crossover between the two disciplines?
Well, obviously racing is a very expensive thing. So it gives drivers an opportunity to be able to test and feel out the track that they're about to go to. Obviously sim racing is getting closer and closer to representing real life, and with that in mind, it's a great visual reference. It gives you a good feel and sensation of what you're about to experience when you head out on track. Also, it just keeps your skills fine-tuned for those future races that you're going to be involved in.
Now, let's be honest, you got a lot of work to do, but what would it mean to get the Team Series Championship in the first season for you guys?
To the whole organization, firstly, getting involved in the first season and winning a team championship, it's incredible. But the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is doing more things within the Coke Series. I think there's a lot of opportunity. There's a great fan base, and with that in mind, I'm trying to develop a community in Charlotte for sim racing, draw more attention to it, more attention to iRacing and the eNASCAR Coca-Cola series. With that in mind, if we win the team championship, I think that just allows our organization to go more into this and dive deeper into what we can do with the series.
Well, appreciate you joining us, and good luck to your competitors tonight and throughout the rest of the season.
I love that James is just not only a team manager, but a fan of the whole series and wants to do more.
Yeah, a racer, both real life and in iRacing, and then he's bringing a team to the series. Really cool.
It is really cool. James also talked about, sometimes the affordability there with real racing. iRacing allows that easy entry no matter what you can afford. And a lot of that we see actually in my favorite segment, Show Us Your Rig. This is brought to you by partners at Logitech. Now this is where we get to see your rigs at home. Caden's showing us this rig right here, a 3-monitor setup, perfect for a Coke driver.
Yeah, he's using that tonight, using it right now to practice at Watkins Glen. We can see why he has success. Cool stuff.
I actually had a story with Caden. He wrecked me last week, and he said it's because he was on his shop sim and not his home setup. So hopefully he's using that home setup tonight.
Beautiful stuff there. Amplify.
Nice. I love the blue. Cameron. All right, I see this here. A lot of 3-monitor setups in the Coke series.
Yeah, almost a full wraparound there, 180. That's cool.
That's what we need to see next, a 360.
Blake, what do you think of this? Fabian's here.
Man, this one's great. Look at all the detail. You got the dash right there. It almost looks like that digital dash is right there, right behind that wheelbase. Got the stream deck and everything. That's a really nice setup here. And ooh, the blue lights on this one, guys.
Love it. Love the detail. Love the the touch of color. That's beautiful right there. Good job, John.
Good job. Oh, all right. I like this. A little bit of that wide screen instead of 3 separate monitors.
Yeah, where do you even get a screen that big? How do you ship a screen like that?
Yeah.
Does that come in the mail?
Well, look at the wallpaper. It just says wallpaper, too. I mean,
that is
brilliant
wallpaper. Look at this. Looks like a spaceship. I love the dark. A lot of people have the different lighting setup. I like the dark one. I mean, it really makes you feel like you are immersed in this.
I got to say, too, we don't get too many pictures where they're actually in the rig actively racing. So a nice solid one right there.
Yeah, we need to see more in the rig. That dude, 3B, I'm liking this. The mic setup there for when you're streaming. Be sure to submit your rigs to us. And like Blake said, why don't you put yourself in the picture too in those rigs? Use the hashtag eNASCAR and tag NASCAR and iRacing. All right, so we heard from James earlier in the show. I think it's only fair that we explore the other members of the Charlotte Phoenix.
Yeah, the drivers for Charlotte Phoenix. Let's start out with Colin Keister. He's joining us now from his rig. Colin, thank you so much for joining us. Let's talk about the process of getting you here. What was the process like of joining the Coke Series?
Well, I wanted to stay in the series for the first time around. Unfortunately, I didn't have a very good Coke season, and then went into the Pro Series and just couldn't get anything to go my way and didn't finish very well. And I was really frustrated there for a couple months, and then I decided I was going to run Road to Pro and just stuck with it all year and was able to make my way back into it. And here we are.
We just heard you have a great team manager, a brand new team. Why'd you join Charlotte Phoenix?
Charlotte Phoenix, my teammate on Dead Zone Racing, Graham Bowlin, he actually had got signed there, and I was talking with him for a couple days, and then David Schildhouse, our team manager, I've been good friends with him for a long time, and it all worked out, and we made a deal, and been good ever since.
I know it's not been the season you wanted so far, so give me a realistic goal. What's the goal for the rest of the year?
So the goal is to get back in the top 20. Got 6 races left here, so I think if I get top 10, top 15 every week, I do believe I can get back into the top 20 in points. So that's definitely the goal.
All right, good goal there. When you're not practicing for iRacing, what do you do in your free time?
Besides working, weekends I'll go out with friends. Usually we'll go out and party and have a couple drinks. And really, that's about it. I go golfing every once in a while, and through the summertime I play slow pitch softball, and coming up here in the fall and winter time, I like to go hunting as well.
Colin, thank you so much. Party responsibly, play softball responsibly. Camille, he's got some work to do. He's got to make sure you don't get that relegation. But as he said, that goes through the end of the year. So still plenty of time for the Charlotte Phoenix driver.
Yes, plenty of time to kind of get everything in order. I love the responsibility. He's just trying to be responsible. But some of the drivers in the Coca-Cola series, some aren't that responsible in how they drive on the track, because there's just some of those moments that make you go, really?
Really?
Really, dude? So back with our second edition of Really Dude, Blake is going to take us through those moments that made us question what was going on.
Certainly so, Camille. We've seen it time and time again in this series. Sometimes you're just left scratching your head and saying, really, dude? It actually starts with some drivers that we were talking about, a team we were talking about here at the Charlotte Phoenix. You remember all the way back at Kansas. You see right here, Graham Bowlin battling for the race lead. He's got Garrett Lowe running right behind him. Lowe makes a move to the bottom, make a little contact. Graham Bowlin hard in the wall, nothing he can do. But then here comes Colin Keister. He's looking for some more luck this year. That's not the way you do it, by running into your teammates. So, guys, come on. Really, dude?
Dude?
What's going on here at the Charlotte Phoenix? Unfortunate there, but they'll try to get that in the right direction. Next up, Malik Ray at Charlotte. Malik Ray was so strong. You could see he was running right behind Matt Busa, who won this race. We all know Malik Ray loves getting on pit road as fast as possible, but just goes a little bit too hard into pit road right there. Overruns speeds on pit road. I mean, Malik, really, dude, this was your chance to have a really good run this year and get that win at Charlotte. So unfortunately, he's not able to make that work. This is the only caution. You can remember back to Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway, the only caution of the race right here. Jimmy Mullis on the bottom, Garrett Maines on the top, and Mullis, I mean, really, dude? I mean, there's a turn right there. You got to make the corner. Runs into Garrett Maines, and just an uncharacteristic mistake right there from Jimmy Mullins for Rise Esports. Next up, Ryan Luza, a driver that has been so strong, a former series champion. It has just not been a season to write home about this year. This is earlier at Nashville Super Speedway. Tough track to get on pit road, but not only do you do the half spin right here, look here in a second. Oh, there's Parker Retzlaff. Keegan Leahy is probably saying this. Really, dude? Come on. Like, we're trying to get on pit road right here.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, no caution right there, and everyone continues to roll along. Now, I was looking at this one earlier. I don't know who to give this one to. I think this was lap 1 at Road America, our last road course that scored points. You see Dylan Duval, Garrett Maines. We know they have a little bit of a history going on. Vicente Salas was wrapped up as well, but then they're not done. Dylan Alt, Matt Busa get turned. We're going to see another Mode Motorsports car, Cody Bias, moving up the racetrack and sliding through the grass. I mean, this was just all around really, dude, I just, again, I hope that we don't see this at Watkins Glen tonight, because that would be unfortunate. And Alan, I hate to bring up something a little bit personal here. Zach Novak right here. I know you've picked him so many times this year, and we're going to have to replay this because we're going to show this finish for the rest of eternity right here. Zach Novak, Casey Kerwin at Pocono. We know Novak has finished second so many times this year, and right here, Kerwin stuffs him in the wall and just gets him at the line. And I know that's got to be tough for Novak sitting outside the window. Really, dude, as Novak not able to hang on to that one. That was really tough right there for Zach Novak. And then bonus clip right here, Bob Bryant, former series driver at Chicago, gets to come back and join the series. This isn't how you do it. Right here, pow, right into the wall. He takes Briar LaPrade with him. If you saw that clip on Twitter from Briar, it was pretty hilarious, his reaction. But I mean, come on, Bob, we let you come back, and this is how you treat everyone that lets you come back. And I picked you, Bob. I mean, come on, really, dude?
Bob was just ready to go back into retirement.
Yes. You can stay there, Bob. It's okay.
Really had to rub it in again that Zach doesn't have a win, that I don't have a win yet pick. Come on, man. Really?
Really, dude? We're just really doing it, everyone. While we're at it, production. Why is this only the second edition of this segment? Really, dude?
I'm not sure.
All right, well, there is one driver, or a few, but this one especially, that didn't actually make it in our Really Dude segment, but it seems like he had a lot going on, right, Alan?
Yeah, Graham Bowlin, another driver, part of Charlotte Phoenix Racing, and I think we saw him earlier. He was in one of the ones that crashed, but Graham, we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about how you got here. Why did you join Charlotte Phoenix?
I just had an offer from another team, and I really liked SHR. It was an offer I couldn't really pass up, and Charlotte Phoenix was a really good team that I thought, and it is, and I just took their offer, and then I helped them choose some other names, and then we got to Colin, and Colin's kind of struggling a little bit, but we're still trying to climb that way up in the team points right now. So
you had a cool experience. So many of us, you have to race from home at your rig. You got to race in front of a live audience. What was that experience like?
It was just a new environment. I've never raced in front of a group of people like that, and I've raced in real life before, but you can't hear the fans, right? So it was kind of a weird experience just hearing everybody. Like when I made it through, I'd move for the lead or something, they would scream, and I'd be like, whoa, okay. Like, you got a live reaction like that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty satisfying. It made me want to do better in the race. Like, it made me actually want to win the race instead of just lifting for third. I sent it for the win, and we wrecked. So, but yeah, it was really fun. Kind of wish I won. That would have been awesome. But we won at Gateway, so that's fine.
You are one of the drivers in position to be in the playoffs. You can rest easy. But how are you going to approach the playoffs this year differently than you did last year?
I think last year I started, I had a different mindset going into the playoffs. Instead of doing what I've been doing the whole season, I started to try to do something different and try to win the races instead of just doing what I needed to do to point my way in, or just if the win is there, I'll take it. But this year, I think I'm just gonna qualify better, hopefully, and then be there even at the last race at Homestead right before the Final Four to be there in points and or have a win already. So, yeah.
Well, good stuff. We look forward to seeing you tonight. See if you can defend and get another checkered flag at Watkins Glen. Of course, look forward to seeing you in the playoffs. Camille, some drivers, they know they're in the playoffs. They have nothing to worry about tonight. They just want to get a checkered flag.
They just want that checkered flag, but they're going to have to go about it strategically. Blake, take us through the track analysis.
Well, we're going to look here at Watkins Glen International, one of the most fun racetracks that we go to, Camille, and a track that is very familiar with a lot of these drivers who run on these road courses. As we take a look at this racetrack, a configuration that has been run for a very long time here in the NASCAR Cup Series. Since 1956, it was opened. You see Graham Bowlin right there, your winner from 2021. And again, this is a lot of speed. It's kind of considered the super speedway of road courses, especially when you think about we've been to Road America, we've been to a street course at Chicago. So this is the track where you're just going to have to carry a lot of speed. These next-gen cars can corner so well, so it's going to be one of the fastest racetracks that we go to. The brakes work so well on it, and again, a lot of strategy going to be a part of this race as well.
Yeah, great track there. And we have some breaking news, Blake, that Bobby Zielinski is our pole leader. Our pole setter for tonight. So we just learned that. A driver who needs a win, a driver who needs to make the playoffs, starting at the front of the field. How's that sound?
I mean, that sounds pretty good if I'm Bobby Zielinski. And again, how does this change up the playoff picture? Because we have this instance where Zielinski's on the outside looking in. He could be added to make it 10 winners before we go to Darlington. So a big shakeup there. We know how important clean air was at Road America for Steven Wilson when he went on to win that race.
And this can mean a lot for Bobby Z, as you both mentioned. And, Watkins Glen, there's a lot of racers or drivers out there that have not just really stood out and won. So why don't we actually take a look at some notable non-winners?
Yeah, first thing that comes to mind is Rise Esports as a team. You think of Zach Novak. We've been over how many times he's finished second. They lead the series in top fives as a team, but again, no wins. Zach Novak coming so close. His teammate, though, Jimmy Mullis, has led 0 laps all year, so strong team, but not getting the win. I think about Jim Beaver Esports, or Keegan Leahy as well. Keegan Leahy is our defending champion, just won top 5 all year. The good news, it was the last race at Pocono, so maybe he's improving, but he's not only flirting with not making the playoffs, he's flirting with relegation. So don't even talk playoffs. He's got to make sure he makes it next year. And then Bobby Zielinski, we know he doesn't have the win yet, but guess what? He's got the pole tonight. He's in great position to do something really good. Blake?
He is, and just looking at some of the drivers that I'm surprised haven't won yet. You mentioned it, Alan. Jim Beaver Esports, they're leading the team standings, by the way, and yet none of their drivers have a win, so very shocking to see that they performed so well. I think looking forward to tonight, we're going to a road course. Mitchell DeJong, very shocked that we've had so many chances for him to win this year, hasn't been able to take advantage, and I think one of the surprises of this series has been Ryan Luza's season here in 2022. Has not been one to write home about for the driver, the number 4, the former series champion. Thought this next-gen car would suit him very well, but unfortunately it's just not been so great for that number 4 XSET gaming machine.
And you know what? It has not been great for Alan and his picks either. So with that, why not talk about our picks for tonight? Alan, Alan, I just saw your points and I just gasped for you. I'm sorry. But Blake, why don't you just kick things off with your pick?
Well, all right, so I'm going to make Brandon's pick for him since Brandon unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But guess what? We picked the same person. This has to happen. Mitchell DeJong is not going to go winless at a road course. There's just no way that we go an entire year without that 23-11 machine in victory lane. So Mitchell DeJong going to take it home tonight. Good pick, Brandon.
Good pick. Yeah, good pick. Hungry pick. But I have to go with the person who's getting the checkered flags. I'm going with the winner, Steve Wilson. Steve Wilson is undefeated on road courses so far this year. He's going to do it again tonight and get me my checkered flag.
Okay, Alan, I was shocked at that because I also chose Steven Wilson, but I've been a loyal fan, okay, Alan, so I feel like you're just trying to mirror my picks, but whatever, we'll hash it out during the race.
I gotta do something. I gotta get a pick right eventually.
Well, we're gonna have to see if our picks actually, come out with that checkered flag, because it is almost time for the race. Be sure to stay tuned. Right after this break, Watkins Glen.
Bubba Wallace here, the number 23 car could be about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car. Check up. Watch your man and walk the track.
You wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaw! World of Outlaws Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today. Drivers, start your engine!
The countdown is on. The regular season is coming to an end.
My expectation of making it a championship work.
I want to win and chase a championship. Ray Alfalla, it's for sure a threat to the competition.
Now is the time to fight for the final playoff spot.
And if you can't go, get out of the way.
2 races remain.
Who's your spotter? Definitely need to fire them.
Come on, man!
I didn't think you stupid. Unbelievable.
Let's go! Finally!
3.
He's not gonna freaking lose that race!
Who is in?
Live from iRacing's virtual Watkins Glen International Road Course, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to lucky number race 13 of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, the road to $300,000, gentlemen, is 2 races away from the postseason, and we're happy to have all of you joining us here tonight. We're alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, joined as always by Blake McAllis and Alan Cavano, who've been getting ready to go on Countdown to Green. And Blake, this is the last road course race of the year, and it comes at a pivotal time as we get set to nail down those championship hopefuls. So there's a lot on the line this afternoon.
There really is, Evan. There's so many storylines going into tonight. Can Ray Alfalla stay in the top 20 in points? That's something we'll have to watch. Can we add a new winner to now have 10 victories or 10 different drivers with victories on the season? And, of course, are we going to see any shocks? Is somebody going to repeat like Steven Wilson and get his 3rd road course victory of the year? A lot left to be determined tonight. It should be a great show.
He put on a show as well a couple of weeks ago, Alan, in the All-Star race, but last year's finish at Watkins Glen can be referred to as a classic, so there's a lot of anticipation. There's a lot of race car drivers who are coming in tonight with confidence. Problem is, only one of them can walk away as the winner.
And there's only one playoff spot left to get and earned for that chase to race for the championship. That's what I love about this track. All the way up to the final corner, we may not know who this winner will be. That's what's great about Watkins Glen. And let's not forget the All-Star race. There's still some bad blood between some drivers coming out of the exhibition fun event, right? Let's see how that boils over tonight.
Fun event. They took it real serious, and we'll see if any of that carries over here tonight. This is a racetrack that'll make its 5th time on this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series calendar here in 2022, and it really should be an exciting one. It's going to be a shorter lap time. It's going to be fast-paced action from the start, and we're happy that you're going to be strapped in and along for the ride with us. To get us underway, let's go down trackside and hand things off to track president here at Watkins Glen International, Michael Printup, for tonight's Grand Marshal official of the most famous words in motorsports.
On behalf of everybody here at Watkins Glen International, welcome iRacing fans. Drivers, start your engines!
For the 11th time in his career, Bobby Zalenski is on pole position. His Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 machine will start alongside Graham Bowlin in the 48 car for the Charlotte Phoenix. Row number 2 is going to see Vicente Salas in his Williams eSports number 19 car. Line up alongside Mitchell DeJong, still looking for a race win this year for the 2311 entry. His teammate Keegan Leahy one spot behind in P5 to 45 car, alongside William Byron eSports' Nick Ottinger in P6. Row number 4 will find an old Stewart Haas lockout. It's Steven Wilson's 10 and Dylan Duvall's 41 car, starting in 7th and 8th position. And back on row 5, the second of the William Byron eSports entries, it's Logan Clampett in the 97, alongside your Pocono race winner, XSET's number 95 of Casey Kerwin.
That'll round out your top 10, Evan. You can look back here to row number 11. Latardi Sports' own Dylan Alt will start in 11th to his, or rather, he's going to start 12th. Garrett Lowe will start in 11th on the inside of row 6 for the Wood Brothers. You see Alan Bose further on back for Space Station as they continue to scroll along. Blake Reynolds, Cody Bias there in row 7. Row 8 just a little further on back. It'll be Alan Bose and Matt Busa starting 15th and 16th respectively. Corey Vincent, Caden Honeycutt, a solid qualifying run for that RFK racing machine. And Parker Retzlaff, Brian Mercurio rounds out your top 20.
Takes us halfway home. You look to row number 11, and it is the Elliott Sadler eSports 31 of Garrett Maines alongside the Williams eSports number 20 of Donovan Strauss. Row number 12 is going to see Michael Conti, previous race winner here at Watkins Glen from 2014 in his Junior Motorsports number 8 car alongside the E-Racer 42 of Derek Bordeaux. It's race 13. Let's look at row 13. Femi Olat at a 79 car for Clip Boyer Racing. Going to be alongside the XSET number 4 of Flying Ryan Luza. Row number 14, we'll see the Team Dillon eSports number 33 at Taylor Hurst alongside the JGR 51 of Ray Alfalla. And on row number 15, Colin Keister's 43 for the Charlotte Phoenix alongside the Wood Brothers number 16 of Blade Witt. Alan.
And let's talk to our pole setter, because Bobby Zalenski came with a hot lap and put it on the pole here for Watkins Glen tonight. And Bobby, you need a victory if you're going to get into the playoffs. How do you translate that speed from qualifying into the race tonight?
Don't mess up, keep the lead, have a good pit stop. I think I can keep them all behind me if I do that. That was probably that was the best qualifying lap I've ever done in this series. Hit everything, hit every mark. Really happy about that. Got really hyped, but got 45 laps ahead. Anything can happen.
This is a new car, the next gen car here. What'd you learn, whether it be Road America, Chicago, or even practice?
Well, we definitely brought a better setup this week. Just better work done, and figured out what we had missing at Road America. And then I just drove really good in Q.
One goal and one goal only. Go get that checkered flag. Good luck tonight, Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Bobby Zalenski has found a victory lane many a time, Alan, over the course of his eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series career, and many of those at road courses, but he has not yet won here at Watkins Glen. So a challenge still to be conquered for the driver of that number 18 machine. We take a look at a Race Juice race analysis tonight. Tonight's race is 45 laps in length. Means we'll be racing for about 110 miles and change this afternoon. Pit road speed at 40 miles an hour. You can spend anywhere from 26 to 28 seconds down there onto pit road. 3 additional sets of tires available, but that fuel window, the big takeaway, 31 to 33 laps at a 45 lap race means we should be looking at a one stop. Remember, no full course cautions over the course of this race, Alan, so the timing of those pit stops and the strategy can be a big indicator on who finds success tonight.
Yes, and you wonder what they've learned in practice and the strategy they'll apply. A lot of times, especially in the real world, as soon as that window opens, we see drivers and teams hit pit road. Will we see that tonight? That's what I want to see, the strategy and who comes up with the best, because it may affect their track position and ultimately who gets the checkered flag.
Could be a big afternoon here for Bobby Zalenski. Enters tonight 10th in the normal standings, but courtesy of all of those different race winners that we've been talking about this year, on the outside looking in, and he's going to be lined up alongside no other than Graham Bowlin right to his outside. Bowlin, of course, going to be a fierce competitor in this one as well. The pace car going to dive off it in this time, though. It is Bobby Zelensky's field to control as we say, let's go road racing at Watkins Glen. Zelensky clear through and spinning behind. There's trouble already for the 97 car. That's Logan clamping around as they head up through the S's, and Ray Alfalla involved as well.
Wow.
Alfalla needs a good points night, Allen. That is a huge blow for him on the opening lap of this race.
Absolutely. Ray Alfalla in a position to fall outside the top 20 despite having a win. That changes the entire playoff field if he falls outside the top 20. Not the start that he wanted, but toward the front of the field, we're seeing him now check. We're seeing him back to single file racing. Keegan Leahy, a lot of good drivers from 2311 up there, looking good.
And you can see the way they run now, because Zelensky is leading this race, he is in the win column. But you'll notice Alfalla's number is gone. So Alfalla, in theory, right now, live in the points, outside of the top 20 now, would open up an additional spot to somebody on points. But Zelensky currently occupying that additional spot, so the battle still remains as they run between the 5 of Zach Novak and the 15 of Blake Reynolds. 2 points apart right now for who is in and who is out. So a little bit of issues through that first part of the racetrack here, that heavy braking zone down the hill, right-hander turn number 1, spinners into the S's here, but you can see Garrett Maines there in the number 31 of machine up a couple of spots and in the mix here as well. Some of the drivers who have been in the news as of late. We talked about that fun race, if you will, a couple of weeks ago when we did an exhibition race in Chicago. Maines was in some of that, but now let's see what happened to Alfalla.
Yeah, here's this again, right after the first corner. Caught up, looks like in someone else's mess and just can't keep it straight. Seeing the live points, you wonder, spotters giving all the information. How many teams have relayed that information about Alfalla's trouble so far early on in this race and how that changes any approach for these drivers? Looks like a battle for the lead, Evan.
And it is the best of the best on the road courses going at it right now. Mitchell DeJong and Bobby Zelensky both looking for a win. Oh, and it goes from bad to worse. Alfalla was on top of the barrels in the corner, and now contact in the battle for the race lead. DeJong tried to go the long way around Bobby Zelensky, and the 18 car sealed him off. So it is going down top to bottom in the running order. And don't look now, but Graham Bowlin, who got passed up by DeJong early in this race now, trying to rejoin the battle up front, but somehow Zelensky's still defending the race lead.
And we have 2 drivers who need victories if they want to make it in the playoff. We have a driver with the win falling out of the playoffs at the moment. All this happening in just lap 3 of this 45-lap race. Things are changing with every corner.
Of course, Mitchell DeJong's 2 career wins in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series came on a couple of road courses last year, winning at COTA, winning at Road America, but notably it was Graham Bowlin who won that Watkins Glen race to get himself into the playoffs. Bowlin looking to repeat a little bit of that magic here this afternoon, watching on from 3rd ahead of Vicente Salas P4 and Stephen Wilson rounding out your top 5 as we are now 3 laps in from the Glen. So again, a lot happened there, and Alfalla got caught up in what looked like somebody else's mess. Let's see what happened with Novak. This is going down the back straightaway into the inner loop, or the bus stop, if you will. Heavy braking zone, and he gets a little bit of the grass. He's sideways. He's going to spin out, gets into the tires, and let's watch for Alfalla as Novak rejoins the racetrack. There's room to the inside. And Ray Alfalla's going to come to the outer loop here, tries to get underneath him. Obviously, Novak trying to get back up to speed. And they definitely made contact. And that is a high-speed impact. Alfalla's night has to be done.
Wow, big movement there. Again, Zach Novak in position at the beginning of this race to move on. He makes a simple mistake there, maybe puts himself in a bad position. The one person he needs to have a bad night, Ray Alfalla, and they happen to get together. It's hard to script these things the way this playoff picture is playing out right now. But again, at the front of the field, 2 drivers that need these victories. Bobby Zalinski, Mitchell DeJong. We saw this back at Road America. These new players emerged, right? They're not having the best season, but at these road courses, names like Zalinski, DeJong, they have opportunities. They are seizing them tonight. A good finish could put them in the best position.
And you can see that red cut line. Novak was -5 now to the cut. It is actually now Blake Reynolds who is currently occupying that one and only points pain position in the playoffs. Well, that's because Blake Reynolds is running 13th. Zach Novak 33rd. Blake, that could be the difference maker. There is a long way to go tonight. Still 40 laps left in this thing, but already some pretty consequential mistakes for some of those drivers that you guys highlighted in Countdown to Green.
Exactly so. I mean, we had a whole segment about really, dude, I think we're going to have to bring it back and add that that sequence of events right to the front of it. But again, like you said, there's so much left to decide here. Obviously, Zalinski would shake things up so much. So would Mitchell DeJong if he were to grab the race lead. So I'm sure a number of drivers who could maybe get their way in on points like Zach Novak. At this point, night is not going well, but I'm sure they're rooting hard for Graham Bowlin to try to make up some ground.
Graham Bowlin just kind of watching on. DeJong came hot and heavy in the battle for the race lead, made contact a couple of times with Bobby Zalinski, but the 18 was able to shake him off, and as they run, Zalinski still successfully defending that top position. He has led all 5 laps so far in this race, and let's bring in the 4th member of tonight's broadcast team. As always, Shane Spike joining us from pit road.
Thank you, Evan, here with Ray Alfalla. And Ray, just take us through your perspective on what happened with those opening lap incidents.
Just the wrong place at the wrong time. Just can't catch a break. We knew we had a tough challenge with the road course, and obviously the wreck at Pocono really cost us too late in the race. And then tonight we were just trying to get through lap 1, and they hooked themselves in front of me, and I got involved, and then I had a crash there with Novak, and just yeah, I mean, it's just really unfortunate. We need a really good run. It's going to be almost impossible to stay in the top 20, even if we win next week, or even if we win at Darlington. So, but we'll show up and try to put VRS in victory lane again. But yeah, this just sucks.
How strong do you feel like your car will be at Darlington?
I don't know. I mean, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good, but unfortunately it's just been, one thing after another this year, and we're once again in the same spot we were last year, where we have a win, but we might not make the playoffs.
Exactly the kind of run that Ray Alfalla was trying to avoid.
And you can see the look on his face. This is a huge blow to Alfalla's hopes of making it to the postseason. Still not completely out of it yet, but those odds are pretty low, I would say, as we look towards the regular season finale when that one comes up in a couple of weeks' time from the track too tough to tame at Darlington. Still watching this ongoing battle for the race lead. Bobby Zalinski, Mitchell DeJong continuing to kind of push each other, right? They're pulling away from a third on back Allen, and I know it's early, but early on, looking like a 2-horse race. Is Mitchell again looking to the inside? Does he make the dive? He does. Going for the race lead on lap number 8. With Zalinski to try to use that runoff, and they'll go side by side to the S's. The 18 car maybe just a nose in front.
And this race, this battle is so important right now because they know. Look, I'm sure they've all been told about the situation with Ray Alfalla. Bobby Zalinski possibly could point his way in, but the only guarantee is to get that victory. Mitchell DeJong can't get in on points, needs this victory. So the pressure is on right now to get it done and to get it done soon. But you can't take yourself out of position on lap 8. So everyone is running their own race at the moment, but you have to get that victory. That's the mindset right now. And then you think about who's in third in Graham Bowlin. Just that comfort of a victory, right? Knowing you have it, knowing you can watch the 2 cars in front of you battle it out, maybe take themselves out and just take advantage when it comes time. The difference of a win in so many ways affects the drive and what the race will see tonight.
And you're on board there with DeJong. We'll continue to watch the battle for the race lead here, but want to bring back in track president here at Watkins Glen International, Michael Printup. Michael, thanks first and foremost for getting us underway. We're enjoying the action tonight. We're looking forward to the upcoming NASCAR race weekend this weekend, and just curious from the fans, what is, such an allure? We talk about a lot of fans. Watkins Glen is on their bucket list of tracks they want to go to. What is the allure of Watkins Glen that makes your facility in that area so special?
I think I know the biggest thing about Watkins Glen is I'll say two big things. One, the people that designed this back in the 50s, and you think I always give them so much credit. I wish I knew who they were, but they designed this racetrack on basically a napkin because there was no CAD, there was no computer, there was no iRacing. They just came and looked at the land and just started laying this track out. So first of all, the design of this racetrack that our current management team, and I always say this in our meetings, we're just caretakers in this time period. 30, 40, 50 years from now, somebody's going to be looking back at pictures like we look back at the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and you see these black and white pictures of people standing alongside the fence at the racetrack. We're the same caretaker just a couple decades later. So it's an honor to be able to do that. I think that's what happens. The second thing is really our area. The lakes, the gorges, the wineries, the breweries, the distilleries, everything that we have up here from a tourism point of view. It's just not coming to see Watkins Glen International. It's coming to see the southern tier, the central part of New York State.
I mean, there's road courses from all over the world on the iRacing service, and I think it says something that so many of the iRacing members love racing at this track in particular. What does it mean to you to have your facility on iRacing and available for fans from all over the world to race on?
I think, with technology and the way what iRacing has done is just groundbreaking. And, we used to think, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we have an elevation map on our website that tells you everything about the track. And, that's great to understand and realize it, but until you drive it, feel it, and iRacing is the feel. I think that's the best part about this whole platform. You feel it. And like you said, what kind of car you drive in, because that affects your apex. You may be in a Mazda in one race and then a Lamborghini, if you choose, in the next race. And the lines are different. The apex is different. I haven't driven a Lamborghini around here, but I've driven some pretty fast cars around here. And the apex has always changed. That's some of what my driver instructors have always taught me. You think it's the same apex, but it depends on torque, wheelbase, everything else that you're driving. But that iRacing really gives you the real feel, and particularly some of the camber and some of the non-camber of this racetrack. When you're going in the toe and you've got camber, and all of a sudden you're coming back out of the toe and you're elevating 30, 40 feet, and the camber wants to throw you out, and it's just, you got to get that apex in, So iRacing gives you that full feel, and I think that's something I'm not that good at it, I have to admit. My kids are really good at it, but I try to keep to my real job here and just concentrate on people having fun, whether it's iRacing or at the track.
We're happy that the race weekend can start at least virtually here tonight, and looking forward to again to seeing all the action later this week. So, Michael, we'll let you go. We appreciate your time, and you haven't missed anything in the battle up front. It is still Zelensky 1, DeJong 2, Blake already now quarter way through. Again, this 45-lap sprint even is going to go by pretty quickly.
It really is, especially with the pace that these drivers have, and you can see further on back here in the pack, battling for 26. These drivers so close in pace at the middle portion and in the back end of this field. Femi Olot, one of our winners from Daytona earlier this year. But up front, battle for the lead going into the bus stop. You have Zelensky, DeJong side by side. DeJong gave it up, but geez, he was looking to the outside to try and pass into the bus stop there.
Yeah, Alan, it looks like a game of chicken almost. I mean, we've seen DeJong go to the outside, he's gone to the inside, and Zelensky has not cared. He has stuck to his line and forced that 23 out every single time. Very clear that he is going to make Mitchell DeJong work for this if that 23 car wants to get around him.
Guys, I can handle 45 laps of this. I am loving this battle between two of the best on-road courses this season and throughout their careers. When a playoff spot is on the line for the both of them, as DeJong looks like he wants to make the move again as we go down this long hill into turn one. He looks like he has the position, but he's done this before. Tight by the 18. He swings wide. What looks like Mitchell DeJong has finally got the position and takes the lead. Can he drive away as he makes it up through these S's? Finally with the position and some clean track in front of him as he approaches the bus stop.
It is indeed new race leader at lap number 13, but how long will it last? DeJong gave a bit of a hip check, if you will, to Bobby when they drove down into one, and you can, I think, take that Zelensky's probably not going to take that kindly, but I'll tell you what, open it up about 3 car lengths of an advantage through the outer loop, turn number 5. Of course, skipping the boot that goes down to the left-hand side of the racetrack there that you'll see in a lot of the other sports car racing, and we get to skip all the way down this chicane, down to the left-hander in turn number 10, and it looks like DeJong, Blake, able to open this up and maybe showing he is the faster of these two. It was just a matter of finding a way by because he'll lead his first lap this time off turn 11.
And I think he's been looking around lap by lap. He has a lot of speed in that 23 Toyota, and he knows how important getting that clean air is. We've seen it time and time again. I know even competing in the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series last year, you want that clean air up front. Even at a track like Watkins Glen, it's so important. If you can get it early, you can set sail. Now, if you're Bobby Zelensky, there are ways to kind of counter this as well. You can think back in pit strategy. You can try to get perhaps an early pit. So there's a lot of different ways to try and approach this. But right now, DeJong just so fast, and my goodness, they are just running right over those curbs. I was thinking maybe that wouldn't be possible with this rear diffuser and it would upset the car, but it seems like at least here at iRacing, these cars can handle the impact of that curve.
Yeah, they're getting up on 2 wheels and off it in the grass a little bit there. And if you are a fan of the NASCAR Cup Series, that number 2 of Liam Brotherton may just look familiar to you. The driver out of Hunterville, North Carolina, throwing it back to the days of Marcos Ambrose in the Cup Series. And that is relevant here tonight because, Alan, we all remember this one. The Cup Series in 2012 right here at Watkins Glen, one of the best battles you'll ever see.
One of the best finishes in NASCAR history, and this was after Kyle Busch got spun. This was a 3-car battle, turned into a 2-car battle with oil all over the racetrack. Brad Keselowski, Marcus Ambrose will tell you they didn't realize that at first, but man, did they feel it on this lap. Gets a little bump there. Brad Keselowski able to come back, get a little bump on Marcus Ambrose as they slide all the way into this final corner with the 2-car on the outside trying to make the pass. That's not going to work. The Australia driver gets the victory at Watkins Glen. It looked a lot like what we saw last season, Evan. This was Graham Bowlin chasing down the 10-car in a quite one of the most memorable finishes that we've ever seen.
Listen, Watkins Glen, Blake, could give us classics in the real world and the sim, and this was almost a spitting image. DeJong on the bumper of Bowlin pushing it to him, and just like that one in 2012, that would have been all the way to the final corner. DeJong ran out of room off the final turn, and Graham Bowlin winning to advance to the playoffs.
If there's one thing I think we learned in those 2 clips, don't be on the outside entering turn 7. I think that's the one lesson learned at least.
Very clear where you want to and where you don't want to be if tonight's race should come down to the last corner. And there's a look at Graham Bowlin. Started this race in 2nd, comfortably running in 4th at the time being, James.
Yeah, Graham Bowlin had a great day here last year, won the race, but he's not a happy driver so far, and he says that he's drifting everywhere. He's loose all over the racetrack, and he's gotten into a few arguments with his crew, and they just told him, stop talking and drive. So it's a very frustrated driver in Graham Bowlin right now.
Not surprised to hear that. And a couple of drivers on pit road. You see Matt Busta down there. Taylor Hurst is also in for service, driving around some of the damaged race cars, the likes of Malik Ray and others who were involved in incidents earlier. But we talked about this in that ASUS race analysis, Blake, the fact that you got 30-something laps of fuel available for that fuel window, but you're the driver amongst the 3 of us. How would you attack this thing strategy-wise?
Well, I think it depends on where you're at in the race. You could see right there that pit delta, it's about 26, 28 seconds. And largely what we saw at Road America, that drivers were willing to forego tires because they're so strong here that they're just willing to add fuel. So it really just depends on track position. Matt Busa getting it early. You can see that fuel window right there, 31 to 33 laps. So we're kind of right in the range where you are good to make it to the end. So if you're somebody like Bobby Zelensky, you got to look about 30 seconds back and think, if I exit pit road, do I come out in clean air or do I come out in dirty air? And that'll determine what type of strategy you want to take. If Mitchell DeJong, if I'm him, I'm going to pit as late as possible, enjoy all that clean air, not having to deal with traffic. But if I'm somebody else, I'm going to get myself out of dirty air. I'm going to try to come down and pit and utilize that clean air.
Blade Witt also going to come down to pit road, so he'll get some service. So a couple of drivers starting to trickle in, Alan. And I got to say, I think it's weird seeing him pit that way on pit road, right? We saw it at Road America. We see it here. Probably the only time you'll see that gas can go in on the passenger side of these race cars.
Yeah, we see it a lot on the in the real world side on the Cup Series, and that affects all the teams, right? The pit crews, everyone's got to change their game up for these races because the results of them still matter so much. Even getting the win, you got to learn to pit on the right side. So yeah, a little different, a different vibe when you're seeing them come down and pit on the right side. As we're looking at the 40 of Dylan Alt in a wonderful paint scheme tonight, Evan.
It's a good-looking Coke Zero Chevrolet as he rides into P10. Let's ride on board with him. This is your Coca-Cola onboard camera. I just want to say, I think that was all 4 tires off the track on the exit of the bus stop on the back straightaway. If not all 4, at least 3 of them. He is hauling it in position number 10. And well, you see a spinner in the background there. Some issues for Derek Bordeaux, but chasing down to turn number 1. Look at this battle. The 36 car of Brian Mercurio trying to play a little bit of defense. He's dealing with Ryan Luza, Parker Retzlaff behind, and Mercurio again sporting the colors of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, which returns this fall for round number 1 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. You can qualify to compete in that race if you're eligible from September 6th through the 15th. And of course, you can watch the main event September 20th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time right here on iRacing. For more information on how you can be eligible to compete in that series, visit eNASCAR.com. Closing in on halfway home from Watkins Glen, it was Bobby Zelensky through the opening 12, but Mitchell DeJong has settled into the race lead. Plenty of pit stops and plenty of action still to come. You're watching round 13 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Here, the number 23 car could be about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car.
Check up. Watch the track. There's a reputation on the track, being built this very minute. One that embraces the crazy.
Oh my goodness!
The fast. And the unpredictable. It looks into the eye of the competition and screams, bring it. Loud enough so the whole world will see it coming. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and by Asus, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR, and by Logitech, Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
We are halfway home from Watkins Glen for the 13th race of this 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series campaign. Up front, still Mitchell DeJong leading ahead of Zelensky, Wilson, Bowlin, and Salas. Your top five, top of the board with intervals as we scroll through the field and watching some of the other battles in this one. Closed it in on the back of the 45 car up the road to Keegan Leahy is Casey Kerwin. Try to make some noise. Kerwin, some recent success. Blake, last points race winner from Pocono in July, and right now trying to get himself back to the top five, continuing to chip away.
And he's behind some drivers that are having some very solid runs in front of him. Keegan Leahy, not necessarily the road course ace, I would have thought, but nevertheless having a great run after his championship last season. Doesn't look like he's going to defend that title unless he can come up with something big at Darlington to try and get back into the fight for the championship. And how about a little bit up the road as you watch on board with these two? They're all trailing. Vicente Salas was able to run into him at the Card Store race at Hickory a couple of weeks ago. Very nice young man, and glad that he's having a good run out here. He's a part of that championship battle last season as well, but very solid run for that Williams Esports number 19 cam.
And I will say for Vicente Salas as well, was sixth a couple of weeks ago at Road America, so he is doing pretty good on some of these road courses, James.
Yeah, definitely is doing good. So, a few updates here throughout the field. Lots of drivers just sort of marveling at the pace of Mitchell DeJong. Bobby Zelensky's crew said, good news is that, Bobby, you got 3 tenths on the rest of the field. The bad news is that Mitchell has a 10th on you. And then when Steven Wilson was read some of Mitchell DeJong's lap times, he was like, well, maybe we can go after Bobby, see what we can do there instead. So those two just trying to hang on the coattails of DeJong at this point. Meanwhile, Casey Kerwin's had an interesting race. He's gone from loose to tight, starting to say that the right front is beginning to fall off. He's tightening up in places on the racetrack, and now he comes down pit road. So probably in response to the tires falling off, we're coming a little bit big. We'll see what he does for fuel and how he gets off pit road.
He's going to come in right at the halfway point, so again, that window wide open if we expect more of our race leaders to come down, but they're all still chasing this man, Mitchell DeJong, at 1.8 out to the race lead. And I know we're not necessarily thinking about dirt right now, guys, but exciting stuff coming up soon with the upcoming release of the World of Outlaws dirt racing video game, available for pre-order today and comes out on September 27th on all your favorite platforms, including Xbox One, the Xbox Series X and S, as well as PS4 and PS5. You can learn more about that at worldofoutlaws.com. And if you're enjoying tonight's race and say, I want to drive a NASCAR Cup car around Watkins Glen, there is no better time than now, because you can save 75% off all new iRacing memberships through the iRacing Summer Sale. You have through August 22nd, so don't stall. Sign up today at iRacing.com/membership. And who knows, Alan, maybe somebody can sign up this afternoon and start their journey to being one of the drivers here in the eNASCAR ladder one day with these drivers. Of course, if you want to be in this series, best way to keep up with it is to follow us at iRacing.com/eNASCAR. That'll give you all the info from the schedule, the standings, and those further steps on how you could maybe one day qualify into this series.
Climb that road to pro and get out here with some of the best in the world. And that's the best thing. You can race at so many tracks across the world. You can race from anywhere. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, guys, Mitchell DeJong races from Germany, and that's where he's currently winning this race and leading at Watkins Glen right now, going for that playoff position with so many cool opportunities for so many of different levels around the world. If you want to get into the iRacing series and climb the ladder, you can, and you can do it. That's what's so neat about this.
This series has an international reach. Of course, Mitchell originally from Temecula, California, but racing with his team overseas. Got 4 Canadians in the series as well, Blake, so plenty of diversity through the roster.
Well, you definitely had to shout that out, didn't you? But
Listen, you got to get one in a night.
Oh, certainly so. And I know we were talking about the World of Outlaws game that's coming out. And Alan, I know you were talking about it at the pre-race show, just in odor of a brand new console. I think we were talking pre-race. So, maybe you get a little bit of Madden going on later this week. Maybe you pick that up as well.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm working on it, guys. I'm a proud owner of a new Xbox Series S, so I'm working my way up the ladder, trying to, hang with the cool kids and seeing the World of Outlaws. Look, I got to cover some of that this summer with the World of Outlaws late models, really immersing myself on the dirt scene in the real world with the sprint cars and everything. And so to put it all together, it's going to be fun. And I've learned a lot, both from the Coach Series, both from the dirt on the World of Outlaws, and to be able to maybe throw some sliders. That'll be a fun opportunity.
Blake, watch out, because if he gets too good at that World of Outlaws game, you might lose your title here as the resident driver in the booth.
I know, right?
It's coming for you. Watching these guys up front again, still waiting on those race leaders to pull the trigger and come down to the pit lane. There's plenty of good racing going on. The cars from 5th through 10th all separated by only a handful of seconds, so you got plenty of passing opportunities still to go. A lot of movers as well, guys. Jimmy Mullis plus 25. He is the biggest mover in the field so far, and he has cracked the top 15, so there's a lot of action. Here's a look at the battle from 8th position on back. Dylan Alt, when we checked in with him, was a couple of spots further back, but he's ahead of Alan Bose and Corey Vincent right here as these three head up through the S's.
What a great run it would be for Dylan Alt to really put one together. Was running with him in the Contender Series last year to get to this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Raced with him really hard at a couple of tracks, Rockingham and Phoenix last year, several others, but just, it's just one of those things when you get to this level, sometimes it can be a struggle, and obviously not where he wants to be in the points right now, but Dylan, one of the more accomplished road course drivers that there are in this service, so I'm sure this race is going to do a lot for his confidence. How about Alan Bose as well, another driver who has had his fair share of struggles here in 2022, but currently right now running P9 and doing a solid job. So some really good runs from some drivers that really need the 0.7. This is a good confidence booster for some drivers that I know we talk a lot about the playoffs, but there's still a lot to fight for when we talk about staying in that top 20, retaining your spot in this series, and not falling back into relegation.
Yeah, you're right. We've mentioned tonight even a lot of that top 20 talk, mainly in reference to Ray Alfalla, right? Needed to be top 20 for the race win to advance, but you're right, everybody else, you want to be top 20 in this by the end of this championship, even if you don't make it to the playoffs, because you don't want to get relegated. There's the 46 car at Jimmy Mullis leaving to pit road. He only spent 8.6 seconds in the box, so the 46 machine going to be nice and quick on his service. No tires, fuel only for him off and away. Now he's fueled up to get to the end of this race. We have still really only seen probably about a dozen or so cars actually come down pit road, and maybe closer to a third of the field has pitted even earlier, but still waiting on your top, say, 20 or so drivers to come down, including most of these race leaders have yet to decide to come down and to make that commitment. You're looking at the 31 car right now. That's Garrett Maines trying to get up to Blake Reynolds. Reynolds having a big night as we see Keegan Leahy onto pit road, and sounds like a speeding penalty for Leahy, who's going to be pitting from the top 10, guys. Well, that's one of your big names, and that's a big mistake.
Especially for a driver we talked about earlier, defending champion, having a great run when he needed it, but at a point in the point standings where he's looking at being outside the top 20 with more bad runs, this is not what he needed, especially when he was having a good run. And the bigger point here is that we still have the pit stop to go for all the leaders. We saw how fast it changed for Keegan Leahy, this space of the race. There's still plenty that could happen on pit road for the leaders as they make the one pit stop that they will have to do still before the end of this race. So still plenty of drama potential. I know Mitchell DeJong is putting on a clinic right now, but still have to make that successful trip down pit road. And we saw what happened to Keegan Leahy there. It could happen to any of these drivers.
Tough blow for him. He'll obviously have to serve that. That's going to cost him a lot of that track position that he had fought so hard in the opening 29 laps of this race to make up. And, well, some of these battles are real important, guys, because you take a look at the live points on the left-hand side of your screen. Now that Bobby Zelensky is no longer leading this race, he's no longer with those winners, right? So he's down to 10th. but Mitchell DeJong now is classified as the leader, therefore would show us a winner if the results right now were to be what you'd see at the end of the race. So that boots both the 5 and the 15 out of the playoff top 10. Remember, last time we checked in with these live points 15 laps ago, they were battling for that last spot, but because Zelensky is no longer leading and Mitchell has filled that gap, Blake, it has kicked both the 5 Novak and the 15 Reynolds out of the playoff cut right now.
Well, the problem is for Zach Novak, he's a lap down. He's in 31st, so he's not really going to be able to make up any ground wrapped up in that early wreck. Now, Blake Reynolds elected to pit a little bit early. He's running 20th right now that we were seeing earlier, so he should be able to make up a lot of points. We'll see that picture change once again as Bobby Zelensky from the second spot going to make his trip down pit road, and good news for him, no black flags for Bobby Zelensky.
Clean in, and you have to think, Alan, this might initiate a response from Mitchell DeJong the next time around. We'll see if this going to pay out for the 18 car, because DeJong has been faster of the two of those guys on this long run.
I like the move from Bobby Zelensky, because what else are you going to do, right? You have to set the agenda. You can be proactive or you can be reactive. Bobby Zelensky made the move first. Now it's up to Mitchell DeJong to see what he will do and what strategy he will take. Do you follow him right in on the next lap, or do you wait a few laps and get as close to that fuel window as possible? It looks like he's driving away from the field, right? If you're the 18, if you're Bobby Zelensky, what can you do? This is the only move you have, is to be the first in the pit and hope it works out from the strategy-wise. Now it's on Mitchell DeJong to be reactive to that, and we'll see what he can do. As he drives, I think he drove past the pit once again.
Yeah, completely unbothered by it. He'll stay out. A couple of other drivers going to be coming down pit road. The 10 car of Stephen Wilson and the 40 to Graham Bowlin are down pit road, James.
They are indeed, and Stephen Wilson's two biggest things weren't necessarily tire wear. It was fuel level, and it was where are we going to come out in relation to the undercut. And some of the drivers that came in earlier was asking where he'd come out of pit road in relation to the rest of the field, somewhere around a Brian Mercurio, a Taylor Hirsch, somewhere in that ballpark. So those are the two biggest things for Stephen Wilson, but otherwise all fine, sitting currently in second in this race.
Goes without saying, you don't want to cycle yourself back into a mess. And one thing I want to point out, guys, is that it was a relatively slow bit of service for Bobby Zelensky on pit road. His pit road lane times, the time spent on pit road itself, was the second slowest out of all the cars who have pitted. He spent 37.4 seconds on pit road. Only Taylor Hurst's 38.7 was more. And here comes Mitchell DeJong. This is the money stop for your race leader.
Mitchell DeJong makes his way onto pit road. It looks like no issues to speak of. Got right to that start-finish line at the end of pit road and got right down to speed, so no issues to speak of. Just have to have a solid job pulling in. Again, the brake heat on these cars makes it a little more difficult to enter and exit your stall. I know a lot of iRacers that aren't used to having to manage the heat in the brakes. That's something that's relatively new with this next-gen car. It looks like Mitchell able to handle that. It can kind of mess with you occasionally, but you'll see it on your screen. DeJong on the top, Zelensky on the bottom, as though both approach turn one. And it looks like a pretty clear exit for Mitchell DeJong, who still, you could barely see Zelensky at the back of your shot there. So DeJong will, in net, retain that race lead.
Yeah, easy does it. Nice job. Now, they both spent very similar times in the box. Alan, it was an 8.2 stop for DeJong compared to an 8.3 for Zelensky. But I mentioned that slow stop for Zelensky. The total pit lane time, about 3 seconds faster in favor of Mitchell DeJong. That was on top of the advantage he already had. So that was well done for the 23 team.
And what's that tell us? All these little aspects matter, especially when it comes down toward the end of these races. Getting on pit road, total time from line to line. And we saw perfect execution from DeJong and the 23 team. As he came out, the gap had only grown back to Bobby Zelensky. It is now his race to lose. Mitchell DeJong, good strategy there in terms of letting everyone else set the table and then knowing what you have to do to execute, and that team was able to do it so far. Now he's got 13 laps to go between a win and a playoff spot.
And he's got 4.8 seconds between him and Bobby Zelensky, so he is in a good spot down the home stretch, Blake.
Well, and actually for Zielinski, the reason that he had such a bad pit stop, he stopped short in the box. So when you think about being a little conservative, you don't want to over-push and overshoot your stall. Well, guess what? You can't undershoot it either. You got to give your crew a chance to pit you. So that is why Zielinski had such a bad pit stop. As you ride along there, Vicente Salas in 6th, Nick Ottinger in 7th. There was another speeding penalty. It was Donovan Strauss, who now runs 1 lap down in 33rd. But this is a pretty spirited battle. The old veteran, the former series champion, and Nick Ottinger, and just up the road, Vicente Salas, one of the challengers from last year, but one of the drivers looking to gain a lot of experience running up front here in this series.
And it's going to be a big night for Vicente because he's one of the drivers in the battle for the top 20 in the standings, and he's going up against a past winner here at Watkins Glen. Not only is Nick Ottinger a past series champion, but he won this race back in 2015. I talked about Michael Conti's win from 2014. Graham Bowlin, of course, last year's winner. The only name we haven't mentioned, and give him some credit, PJ Sturgis, race winner here from 2016. Yeah. I'll tell you what, this racetrack was on the calendar 3 years in a row, right? 14, 15, 16. Went away for a couple of years. I am so happy that the Glen is back 2 years in a row, and I think it should always be on the calendar.
One of the best road courses maybe in the world, right? I mean, as we were talking with the track president before about drivers from all over the world wanting to come to this race and succeed, the history that it has, not only this track, but the town itself and its history with Formula One. You talk with drivers, and they love this track because of the challenges, because of the high speeds, because of things like the bus stop that you are seeing where the brakes matter, and so much of the little technical aspects of a road course really work in to some drivers' favor. And we're seeing Mitchell DeJong take advantage of all that tonight. We've seen, previous winners, Nick Ottinger, get the win here and trying to do as much as he can out there tonight. What I like is throughout the field, the different storyline, everyone racing their race, right? I mean, we focus a lot on the front of the field, the spot for the playoffs, getting that victory. But as you mentioned, that 20th spot in points and the difference between relegation and moving on next year and having to work your way back up. We are seeing some drivers like Keegan Leahy fall back, have issues. But you mentioned Vicente Salas, Dylan Duval in 19th in points right now, having a great night when it comes to his position in points. Ray Alfalla, though, with the victory, likely to finish last in this race, going the wrong way. So much throughout the field, so many storylines and so many different races that have to be thought about, not only the one in front.
And you're looking on the board with the Autoboss himself, Nick Ottinger, riding around. Let's enjoy the sights and sounds from his perspective with our Logitech G onboard camera. Well, Nick Ottinger working hard from 7th, trying to get a couple more spots. Comes into tonight tied for the most top 5s in everybody so far this year. A little bit more within reach. But we are inside of the final 10 laps here tonight from Watkins Glen. We'll step aside one final time. Mitchell DeJong trying to close this one out.
about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car.
Check up. Watch them have that block of the track. The white flag is out. A notice to all drivers that the regular season is coming to an end.
White flag here.
That now is the time to fight for the final playoff spot. Or surrender.
Now's the time. Let's do it. Show me what you got, boys. Let's get it.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and by ASUS, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR, and by Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
In trouble for the 3-car around is Corey Vincent. That's at the back half of the lap through the outer loop just after the bus stop. We were going to be talking about that battle for 10th position, but it was a touch between Vincent and the 55 of Alan Bowes, and Corey Vincent having run so good tonight, involved in that contact and now falling to 19th. Guys, you can work all race long and lose it in the blink of an eye, and Corey Vincent losing all the ground teammate out. Let's take a second look.
We'll see it one more time in this battle for 10th. You can see Bowes just up the road. This is on board of Michael Conti's WR1 Sim Chassis Chevrolet. Bowes going to take a look to the inside here, going through the carousel, and you can see he hits that curbing right there, upsets the car. Vincent pinching him down pretty close, and around goes Vincent. Doesn't seem to hurt Alan Bowes too much, but a tough break there for Corey Vincent, who's been so consistent this year. And of course, it seems to be the theme of the night, Evan. It was right around that cut line when you talk about drivers that are trying to get their way in on points.
It seems everywhere we look, every bit of contact is consequential in those points battles. And again, this thing really is truly going to come down to not only the regular season cut for the postseason next week at Darlington, but of course that top 20 cut, as always, going to go all the way through the championship race in Phoenix. The good news from Michael Conti there was he got 2 free spots, so he's into the top 10 for the first time today. 13 positions gained total means that Michael Conti is the 3rd biggest mover on the afternoon. As we take another live look at your point standings, remember the 23 car 7th right now, currently being scored there because he is leading this race. If he can finish where he runs and wins this thing, he'll be in to the playoffs this year. Of course, all of this is because Ray Alfalla has fallen out of the top 20 in the live points. That has opened up a points-paying position. But guys, Zelensky only 3 ahead of Zach Novak. And listen, I know Novak's back in 26, but Blakey's starting to make up some spots, and that number's getting real tight.
Yes, it is. I mean, you start to think about how this plays out with 5 to go. We could go into Darlington with 3 drivers that are right under a blanket, right underneath that cut line. So you'll have kind of the Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr. situation that's happening in real life, where there's one spot in on points, but yet all it takes is one winner that is in that top 20 right there to change everything at Darlington. So we will have storylines galore if this holds on for 4 more laps.
Every one of these positions will matter for Zach Novak, for Blake Reynolds in these closing laps. That's what's so interesting about these final laps and what they mean for each of the drivers, because going into next week, they can close this gap before the end of the race, before we get to Darlington. So it could be a whole new race, and we're seeing the race for 12th right here between Blake Reynolds and Garrett Maines. How tight it is, because each one of these positions matters for Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, he can make up ground by passing a couple of race cars here as we are now inside of 4 laps to go. He could also lose some ground, right? So going to be a consequential couple of laps. And Garrett Lowe, the driver at Gastonia, North Carolina for the Wood Brothers, and that 21 Ford looking back on that fight. That sees Blake Reynolds trying to defend 13th, but an awfully aggressive Garrett Maines in the 31 car behind him. And 2 weeks ago taught us that Garrett Maines will be aggressive no matter what. So the 15 car better not get comfortable here. I think that battle for 13th and 14th may be just not done yet as they head down to the final couple of corners. Only going to be 3 laps left to go this time by. The bank's closing. Make your moves while you've got a chance.
Got to do it now. Time is running out, and Reynolds was kind of reeling in the 2 drivers in front of him. Alan Bowes, who obviously was involved in that issue, may have a little bit of damage on his 55 Toyota, and as well as Garrett Lowe that's just up the road. So while he's trying to chase down and get maybe a point or two that could play such a big factor in the race next week, well, Maines is a little bit quicker than him these last couple laps, so having to try and attack and defend at the same time, it's a part of what makes these drivers so good is they're able to do both.
And there's really 4 cars in this battle, right? I mean, we talked a lot about Lowe, but even Alan Bowes, as you referenced, right up the road. Ahead of them, you got a bit of a duo, Michael Conti and Dylan Alt, pretty close. So there is a lot still to be decided in the final moments. There is the 31 of Maines trying to get underneath the 15 through the outer loop. Oh, and it's all going to go wrong. Garrett Maines into the outside tire barrier. Heavy damage on his Chevy Liners Camaro, and he pushed it a little bit too far.
We talked about the importance of every single position. How important was that position just then for Blake Reynolds? I was watching that thinking, you know, maybe you let the 31 by because you have so much more to lose than you do to gain, but Blake Reynolds deciding that one position was worth getting into the 31 and creating some bad blood there. There's still another week, guys. There's still another week of racing for that 31 to exact some revenge.
It was quite a block almost, right? I mean, Maines tried to get to the outside of Reynolds there. Reynolds swung wide. They touched, and Garrett Maines was knocked sideways. Again, that part of the racetrack really chokes up. We've seen countless incidents there over the years in the Cup Series, and that could be a big blow for Maines. But up front, Mitchell DeJong, who has led the last 31 laps consecutively after it was Bobby Zelensky in the opening dozen, has taken the white flag. A little bit of traffic up the road that he might have to deal with to bring this one home, looking for his 3rd road course win of the last 2 years.
Look, you either like or you love the playoff system. I mean, you love or you hate it, right? In terms of one win likely gets you into the playoffs. Mitchell DeJong not having the greatest season, but when it comes down to the 2 road course races, he knows he has the confidence. He knows he has the skill and abilities to pull it off. You get the victory, you get in the playoffs, and you have that shot at a championship. Even if there's 2 great shots at it for Mitchell, he knows these are the opportunities he has to seize. He is doing it tonight at Watkins Glen.
And as he comes around through the final sets of corners, you have to wonder what sophomore slump for Mitchell DeJong. Had speed all night long, made a pass for the race lead early, and he is going to walk his way to the postseason in 2022. Mitchell DeJong wins at Watkins Glen.
You know what I see right there? Relief.
Relief.
Absolute relief, and you know, it's nice to have such a comfortable lead that you get to just let go of the steering wheel down the straightaway. I mean, that must be pretty nice right there.
Almost like he knows what he's doing. I mentioned that he got a couple of these things last year in his rookie season, I might add. And now here in his sophomore campaign, Mitchell DeJong is now a 3-time race winner in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. You can see some of these other battles all the way to the start-finish line. An aggressive push there for the 6th car, Parker Retzlaff, trying to get a little bit more. But what an impressive job for Mitchell DeJong. He becomes the 24th different driver to win 3 races all time in series history. Ray Alfalla, guys, will make it to the finish of this race, and because he fought from 21 laps down, he did pass 4 additional cars to finish 36th position. Not what he wanted, and that's going to set him up for a daunting task at Darlington.
It is, and I hate to mention, but he finished 36, so all the cars that he passed, you get 1 point for 36th on back.
Yeah.
So I love the effort, I love the fight, but unfortunately wasn't able to net him about a point or two out of that.
Tried for it, did his very best, fought this one all the way to the end. But the man of the hour is that man, the driver of the 23 Toyota for 2311 Racing, and he's just showing off now. He's done a couple of burnouts to the virtual fans all over this place, and now as he celebrates it under the start-finish stand, this winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Mitchell DeJong will fight for the better part of that $300,000 purse, Allen, in 2022.
What a race, what a run when he needed it. Took advantage, used the skills, everything that he needed to do to win tonight. Almost a flawless victory, if you will. And now he can do a flawless burnout at Watkins Glen after taking the checkered flag.
And I'm sure this celebration will continue well into the evening. Another new race winner for the drivers this season. And I think it's pretty cool that Mitchell DeJong's third career win comes at his third different racetrack. He's got one at COTA, he's got one at Road America, and now he is a race winner at Watkins Glen International. Just keeps adding those accolades, Blake, to the belt. And let's take a look at what was the difference maker here tonight with our Coca-Cola move of the race.
Well, it was pretty simple, Evan. When Mitchell is making these moves, he was hounding Bobby Zielinski for a handful of laps. It wasn't like he won the pole and just drove away with this thing. Bobby Zielinski got the best of him in qualifying, had to find out his strengths, Bobby's weaknesses, and he was able to make it work here off of turn 7. Gets a great run down. He had looked to the inside a number of times, but this was the lap that did it as DeJong hard onto the brakes, makes an aggressive move down there, and Zielinski had no chance as they may have just made some slight contact between two friends, but nevertheless DeJong never looked back after this Coca-Cola winning moment.
Leads the most laps and gets his first win of the 2022 season and puts himself into the postseason. Let's hand things off to you, Alan. You have dialed up tonight's race winner, Mitchell DeJong, on the radio.
Mitchell DeJong, congratulations. We all saw it on the in-car. It wasn't a look of happiness. It was a look of relief when you took that checkered flag. How relieved are you feeling tonight?
It's unbelievable, really. Last year when the road course went really well for me, pretty consistently up until this track was a little bit more difficult. It was a great feeling. But I have the sense of like, okay, I should do well here. This is kind of like the thing that I, grew up in, I guess, in iRacing. And man, this season's been such a struggle. The first road course we had was very difficult, even though we were kind of close at the end. This one here, I felt really good. We had some good prep. And to be honest, I completely messed up qualifying. I almost wrecked basically 3 times in the lap. I was pretty much certain that it was over. And then just kind of the cards kind of fell into our place, and we had to really fight for everything we could get on the track there. So I'm so excited with the result. This is incredible. It's such a great feeling, really.
You mentioned it, the expectation. We all have that expectation. We know your skills, we know your confidence, we know your record at these road courses. How do you go into a race with that much pressure, though? How do you deal with it?
To be honest, I think that's something I've been struggling with a lot this year. Last year I was a rookie. Kind of my strong suit was in qualifying, even at all the oval races. But this year, qualifying's been so tough to me because I feel like I need to perform there, like I can do it. And I think I kind of overstressed myself, and I think this is another case of that here. I'm really happy we were able to, clear the mind and show up in the race, and it just all came together in the end. This was for sure one of the most stressful and intense races I've had, just because I was really making sure, or trying to at least make sure that nothing was going to go wrong. So happy with this result.
One win nearly changes everything, nearly a blank slate. Can you chase a championship?
You never know. I mean, I think as we've all seen in this series, is anything can happen. There's been so many races that have been just all over the place. So we'll go at it hard, and we'll just see what happens. We'll give it everything for sure.
Mitchell DeJong, tonight's winner. Congratulations. We will see you in the playoffs. Let's go to the driver that finished second, started on the pole, did what he could to keep Mitchell DeJong behind him. Bobby Zielinski, I know you did what you could. Give us your perspective on what it was like out there with your 18 car.
Yeah, Mitchell was just a lot faster in a couple key corners that my front end just didn't turn, and mainly that last corner. And yeah, he was just a lot quicker in the race. Couldn't transfer that amazing Q lap into a win, but I tried battling him as much as I could. I gave him a door when defending, and he gave me a door back to pass me. So it's racing. He was quicker under him, and quicker under him, and it sucks, but we're gonna go and try to win Darlington.
Yeah, but we know you are also potentially can get in on points. There was a moment early on in the race where Ray Alfalla had trouble. How aware are you of that and different things going on around the track? Because that affects your points position and potentially your racing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really hear about Ray until the end when I asked about it, because I was 5 seconds off and I wasn't going to win unless Mitchell had a problem. But yeah, I mean, I was just focused on the win today and trying to hold Mitchell off. So yeah, going to Darlington, I guess I'm 10th in the playoffs right now since he's out of the top 20, but it can easily, I could get second again and some new guy wins, right? So I just have to go for the win, and hopefully if I don't, I get second, and unfortunately I have to have my teammate have a bad day, but Interstate Batteries Toyota has been fast as of late, and that's all you want.
Second place, good run tonight. Good luck next week in Darlington for Bobby Zielinski. Let's go up next to Graham Bowlin. Graham, you've won this race before. Tell me about your night out there at Watkins Glen.
It was pretty tough, honestly. Like the first half of the race, I was bottoming out. We tested in a little bit hotter track temp, so we were a little bit too low. And then I got in a groove after Steven got by me. And then I was kind of stuck in the dirty air wake a little bit. And then we got to pit stops, and it was just me against Steven. And then I made the move in the last corner, and I was on the yellow line, and he kind of turned down my door, and I just got hooked up the track. So it was fun. Other than that, man, the car is really fun to drive, 25 plus. So I really liked it.
Do you race differently knowing, I mean, you already have a win, Bobby in front of you, Mitchell in front of you, both needed to do what they had to do to get the victory. Do you race differently with already having a victory in your pocket?
Not really. I try to race the same. Yeah, I was in the situations tonight where I just had to lift when someone sent it on my inside. So, yeah. And Mitchell just had amazing pace. Shout out to him. He was 3 or 4 tenths faster than us averagely. So, that was a really good race by him.
All right. Well, good luck. And playoffs approaching. We know you're all set, but have fun in Darlington in 2 weeks, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
All right. Thank you.
A big thanks to our top 3 finishers for sticking around and chatting with us. We take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results tonight from Watkins Glen. Of course, DeJong, Zielinski, and Bowlin finishing in the top 3, ahead of Stephen Wilson and Casey Kerwin 4th and 5th. Vicente Salas, some of the bigger names in the top 10. Dylan Alt rounded it out with Bose, Big Movers, and Jimmy Mullis, plus 26 spots as well, Blake. Further down, you got the drivers who lose out. Keegan Leahy minus 23 on the afternoon. And at the very bottom of this one, 36th, Ray Alfalla going to score 1 singular point tonight, and his hopes of making it to the playoffs hang by the thinnest of thin threads as we get set for one last dance. The road courses are done for the year, Alan, and it'll be Darlington that plays host to our regular season finale.
The lady in black, the track too tough to tame. The track's so nice they nicknamed it twice, and it comes down to the regular season finale. I cannot wait because it's the type of track where anything can happen, and we can potentially get a new winner that really mixes everything up. We have battles at the front, battles for points, battles for wins, and it's going to determine a potential champion.
And it's a little bit of a different wild card, Blake, to what we'll see in the Cup Series, right? As they go to Daytona, that's kind of a race where anybody can win for the regular season finale. Darlington's a bit of a different kind of beast, right? It's a very tricky and technical racetrack, but it can still absolutely give us a surprise winner, because you heard it there from Bobby Zalenski. He's in on points right now, but he's got two things to worry about. One, the guys behind him, and two, the fact that we could still see another new race winner like we did tonight.
Well, it's very possible, and I would tend to think that a track like Darlington, you're going to see drivers up front that have been our contenders all season long, that have that winning pedigree already. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see a lot of race winners up front, but again, it's Darlington, there's a ton of tire fall off, and there's so many drivers that if they worry about top 20, they can be aggressive on strategy and afford to lose some points, but they have everything to gain if they win next week. So I'm expecting some big swings. When we see Steve Letarte back here in a couple of weeks, he's going to have a lot of strategy to talk about, because there are going to be some drivers that are going to be throwing the kitchen sink and even more at this last race to try and win and get in just before it runs out.
13 down and 1 to go. For many of those drivers, there is nothing left to lose, because the regular season comes to a close when we join you next time in 2 weeks' time. But until then, that is it for us here tonight from Watkins Glen, New York. On behalf of our entire team, everybody over at iRacing, our partners at Coca-Cola, Logitech, G, and Asus, of course, for your broadcast team tonight, everybody behind the scenes, and for your crew upstairs. For Alan DeCavana, Blake McCandless, myself, Evan Pasoko, and James Pike on the pit road, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Mitchell DeJong, who is playoff bound in 2022. We are back to do it one final time before the playoffs. It's Tuesday, August 30th from iRacing's virtual Darlington Raceway. That race and every race of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found streaming live at eNASCAR.com. Until next time, good night from Watkins Glen.